Never trust the quiet one. Everybody thought it was going to be Take-Two and Rockstar with Grand Theft Auto 6 increasing prices up to $100. Hell, we had people that were praying for it. And don't worry, I'm sure we still have a good chance of that happening as well. Because, I mean, $70 to $100, that's a pretty big jump. But $80 to $100, I mean, that's not too bad, right? It was Nintendo, the one that nobody was talking about. During their announcement of the Nintendo Switch 2, showing off some things that people could genuinely get excited about, well, there was something that wasn't on the showcase, and that was price. And the minute that you went to their website, that was when they slid in the dagger of a $449 console and the overhead finisher of $80 digital video games. Nobody saw this coming. I didn't see this coming. I don't think this is going to end well. Economically, socially, we are in the lowest point of trust this industry has ever seen. And if Nintendo goes down this route, as well as any of these other publishers or studios, it's only going to end poorly. Simple as that. They are playing with fire in the middle of dry season, and they're risking everything going up in flames.
Video games are skyrocketing in price, and Nintendo's greed is to blame. How is Nintendo causing the price of all games to go up? And what does that mean for the future of the gaming industry? Watch to the end of the video to fully have all of these questions answered today. Don't forget to follow us over on Rumble. Our Rumble will be linked in the description of the video. And guys, don't let these companies convince you to be happy owning nothing. Go and check out Angry's Crypto Academy to learn how to buy, sell, and trade crypto while also making massive profit. It's linked in the description of the video. Today's video comes from SF Productions. Now let's go ahead and just jump right in.
I'm going to be telling you why online play is the biggest scam in company history, starting off with the Nintendo Switch. Since 2017, Nintendo has been charging $20 a year for online play subscription, which doesn't sound like a lot. It just sounds like, oh, it's $20 a year. It's not that much. Until you put into the perspective that you're paying $20 a year for the next 10 plus years. You're paying $20. And for example, that is $200. You've now paid $200 on top of the $200 that you actually got your device for. You have now put in $400 on a device that costs $150 right now. You could get a Nintendo Switch for less than $100 if you go to the right place. That's not good. That's not good at all. It's not good at all. Now let's talk about PlayStation. PlayStation might be even worse because they are charging $20 a month for online play, which might be the most expensive on my list. They have charged so much money from so many people throughout the years, and with a year, you pay $160 a year to play on PlayStation. Now that sounds like a lot, but if you put in the perspective of how many years you're paying that and how much the console actually costs, you have now paid $640 after owning your device for 4 years and buying yearly subscriptions on gaming. Your device is probably worth $400, $500 range, and that's not even including like it's going down more and more. It's a scam, guys, and I really hope that we get to like all come together and figure something out, because this is not okay. This is not okay.
Nigerians, I beg, Mona pray for me, I beg. If they tell me support, not my wisdom, this guy thing go fear put to me, I not go believe for my life. Now they regret and they cry, I not believe. If they tell me for dreams, say this guy to go.
What's a scam that's become so normalized that we don't even realize it's a scam anymore?
Okay, this one is for all my gamers, so y'all can relate to this one. But DLC, downloadable content, especially when it comes to fighting games and online shooters. Peep this, the average retail price of a video game is $49.99 to $59.99. But the deluxe edition is $10 more, and the premium edition goes for $99.99. And then you gotta pay for weapons and expansion packs and extra DLC characters, which is all fine and dandy if you want to milk the game for its worth and you want to maximize your playing time with it. But I did some research on this, and I found out in fighting games, the majority of those characters you're paying DLC for are already on the damn disc. And don't even get me started on 2K, because I know some people who spent over $100 just on DLC alone for 2K. And to add insult to injury, if you wait a year or two, they come out with the Ultimate Edition of the game with all the DLC on the disc ready to play. So yeah, downloadable content for my gamers, huge.
So old physical games have just become gold. And for those of you that don't know, the Nintendo Switch 2 came out today, and they're probably already sold out. And if you thought that buying the physical copy of the game meant you had a physical copy of the game, meaning that you didn't have to download the game onto your console to then basically eat up your storage on your device, well, you're wrong, because that device is still going to have to call out to a server using that little cartridge you just bought for $90 or $80 from Nintendo to call out and say, hey, let me download the game onto my console. So in a sense, you're buying a little piece of plastic that just has a little key card or a key registration key just to call out to a server to say, hey, I have the ability to gain access to that game. So for those of you who have old Nintendo games and have all those games, keep them. They're gold.
Games that you buy digitally need to be cheaper than physical games. Okay, I don't know why it took me so long for me to put 2 and 2 together. It literally cost them almost nothing compared to putting out a physical copy of a game. Okay, if you've been watching my channel for a minute, you realize just how much I hate the idea of a game being $70. Because we were openly lied to and scammed into thinking that was normal. To put this into perspective for you, the whole idea of there being a $70 video game, the whole marketing behind it was, oh well, we're making it for next gen only. To put it into perspective for you, there's only been 2 games for the PS5 and for the PS5 alone. Spider-Man 2 and Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Those games are the only ones that rightfully have a case to be $70. But where it gets fuzzy is Helldivers 2 was $50. Black Myth Wukong was $60. I have to say this again. The idea of a game being $70 is because you were lied to into thinking that these games are going to have so much more polish than any game that's below that. Which is bullshit. I think baseline, if your game is being made for the PS4 at this day and age, you should be banned from selling it for $70 on any console. Because that's not a next-gen game. That's not even a current-gen game. That is a last-gen game that you gave a ray tracing. That is it. But physical versus digital. See, there's a whole movement trying to keep, physical media for gaming, and I do agree that is going to be a big issue moving forward. However, why are digital games $70? You don't have to pay for shipping it out to stores. There's no contracts that you have to do with Walmart, Target, and all the big suppliers. You don't actually have to make the disc. You don't have to make the case for the disc. You don't have to pay anybody to make a special paper map that you used to put in there. All of that gets turned into digital media. And where are they going to put it? Oh, they're going to put it on the PlayStation Store. Where, guess what? They don't have to pay a piece of the pie to Walmart. So let me get this straight. The company makes more money from digital games than they do physical ones. So why are they the same price? I know somebody's gonna say, oh, well, it's due to inflation. The cost of making games is far more expensive. First off, that's partly bullshit. Yeah, no, games are more extravagant than they've ever been, but we also have better tools than we've ever had. And you don't have to deal with any of the expenses I named in the video. Digital games need to be cheaper than a physical disc. And I think that makes sense. If you're getting a physical game, you're actually getting something that you can touch, instead of a digital game that you're just porting over to your console from a server room.
People are finally beginning to wake up and realize how hard they're getting fucked by these video game companies with no Vaseline. One of the worst things that I've noticed happening recently is the announcement of a new Sega racing game. It's basically just a racing party game that you would play with your friends, just like Mario Kart was. And then Nintendo decided to jack the price up to $80. What did Sega decide to do? Well, now they've announced Mario Kart Crossroads, or Cross Worlds. And the game is literally going to be priced at $70 for the base and $89.99 for the deluxe version. The base game doesn't actually include the entire game in and of itself. All the bonus characters, all the characters, so-called guest characters, are not included in the game. And multiple tracks are also not included in the game. And alternate forms of characters that are in the game are also not included in the game. So you can play as Sonic, but if you want to play as Metal Sonic, you're going to have to pay extra for that. You can play as Tails, but if you want to play as Tails wearing his goggles, you have to pay extra for that. I'm not making any of this up. So you get a game that's essentially half or a third of what the actual game is supposed to be. And if you want the full experience, you're going to have to pay $90 now for a party game, a party racing game. You've got to be kidding me about this BS.
Whoa, Minecraft and Sonic Racing Crossworlds? This is so cool, man. That'll be $90. Man, it seems like with every win Sonic takes, he just takes another L. And that's not an exception here. Sonic Racing Crossworlds Digital Deluxe Edition will cost $90 US. That's fucking terrible. Don't get me wrong, even though I'm not that excited for Sonic Racing Crossworlds, I was still going to buy the game, especially after there were so many character reveals like Joker from Persona 5, Miku, and fucking Steve and Alex from Minecraft. But $90 for the Deluxe Edition is just too much, man. It's too damn much. Now, you might be thinking, oh, this is the Deluxe Edition price. Maybe the content in the Deluxe Edition is worth that much. We'll get into that soon. But what about the base price? They're not forcing anybody to spend $90 on this game. Surely I can just pick up a copy for like 50 oh. The standard edition for Sonic Racing Crossworlds costs $70 US, making it the highest priced Sonic game so far. Yes, Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Sonic Frontiers, the latest 3D mainline Sonic release, was $60. Sonic Superstars was $60. Sonic X Shadow Generations was $50. And the last Sonic Racing game, Team Sonic Racing, was $40. But, you know, that game was pretty ass. But Sonic Racing Crossworlds had the balls to be $70. I don't care how much content this game has. I don't care if this is the best game of all time. No game is worth $70, especially a racing spin-off game that's still charging extra for a stupid season pass. This is the price for an everyday next-gen video game, which, you know, would be fine for a mainline release. Like, the next big mainline Sonic game will probably cost $70, and I would be perfectly fine with that. But again, this is a spin-off racing game. Come on, what are we doing? There is a solid chance that the last gen versions will cost $60 and the deluxe edition will cost maybe $80, but as of now, that is purely speculation, and even if that were true, I still think charging $60 is a little too much for this game. But let's go ahead and circle back to the deluxe edition. What are they putting in this edition of the game to warrant that extra $20? Well, you get 3-day early access to the game, which, damn, it kinda sucks that we're doing this again. Like when Sonic X Shadow Generations did it, I still didn't like it, but at least that game didn't cost $90.
Hey guys, in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now.
You also get some Sonic Prime characters. Okay, that's pretty cool. But obviously, the main attraction here is the Season Pass. And yes, I will admit, this seems like it has a lot of value. There's 6 different DLC packs that will be granted to you over the course of however long, with the first one being the Minecraft DLC. If the rest of the DLC is like this, with a course and some racers for each pack, I would say the extra $20 is a pretty good deal for it, and I would buy it if the base game didn't cost $70, which I guess is kind of the main issue here. I think it's just really funny how I've been seeing so much love for Sonic Racing Crossworlds, mainly because of the fact that Mario Kart World costs so much. $80 for the base edition of a video game is criminal, and I'm not trying to say that Sonic Racing Crossworlds being priced like this is worse than how Mario Kart World is priced. But I think it's important to point out the fact how so many people have been crediting Sonic Racing Crossworlds for being the pro-consumer choice, for being the affordable option, while Mario Kart was a result of Nintendo's greed and anti-consumerism. But guys, these games are only $10 apart, and Mario Kart is not pushing day 1 DLC. Again, I'm not saying that what Crossworlds is doing is worse than Mario Kart, because at least the deluxe stuff is purely optional. But still, the gap is way closer than you think.
So they actually make things sound better than they really are. They left out a few very important details. So as you can see on the screen, the game actually includes more in the deluxe than they let on. The base game is just that, a base game that includes around 1/2 or even 1/3 of the actual content. If you want to play with the bonus characters, which is what everyone wants, these are people like Joker from Persona 5, this popular anime girl character, and various other characters from outside of the Sonic universe, they're only going to be accessible through the DLC, through the deluxe edition, which costs $90. This also includes a variety of additional content such as emotes, access to alternate forms of Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, additional tracks. It's an unbelievable amount of content that is essentially being paywalled off unless you pay their ransom and $90 for the full experience. So this is not even a $70 game. You do not get the entire game. You don't get the whole game for $70. No, you have to pay a massive amount of money, all right? An additional $20 on top of the $70 to get the full experience of the game. It's basically like buying Super Smash Bros, where they have all of these characters included in the game, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and then they keep on adding more and more additional characters at no additional fee. In this case, you're basically only getting, you'd be getting only Mario's characters, only Nintendo's characters, and not their alternate versions either. So, for example, if you're playing a Zelda, you're not going to get her Sheik version, all right? All of that's behind the deluxe version, and all of the additional characters from outside of the Super Smash Brothers universe, let's say Cloud, or who else is there? Any of the additional bonus characters. I know there's a ton of them that come from outside of the Nintendo universe. You'd be paying extra. You'd have to pay extra to access all of those characters. Guys, this is crazy. Absolutely crazy. We are being ripped off so bad. Now, you might say, well, what does Nintendo have to do with what Sega doing here? Everything. You see, because of the structure of these games, Nintendo is forcing everyone to actually charge more for their games. $90, it's greed, and Sega is basically using Nintendo as cover for doing it. However, those game key cards and the new cartridges that Nintendo is using for the Switch 2, they're expensive. Not the game key cards. The game key cards are basically Nintendo's way of saying, if you don't want to pay these exorbitant costs for the new cartridges, because we only offer one size, which is 64 gigabytes, and even those cartridges don't necessarily hold the entire game for many modern titles. But if you do want to offer a physical game, you're going to have to basically swallow all of the cost of the additional cartridge that costs like $10 or $20 for the cartridge itself. So there's very little profit for you. So now you're forced to charge more. You're forced to charge at least $70 or $80 for your game, which is the reason why Cyberpunk 2077 costs $70 for Switch 2, while you can pick up the exact same game on GOG with the same with the additional DLC and everything else for like $50. All right, or even less during many of the sales. I'm so serious. It's a scam. Now, because the price is skyrocketing on the Switch, all other platforms have to follow. So if you're going to charge $70 or $80 or now $90 for your games, because they're forcing you to basically charge more if you want to, put your game on the Nintendo Switch 2 as a physical cartridge. You have to align the physical cost with the digital cost. That's just how it works. Or else then people are going to say this is like, well, why does it have to cost this amount? So the physical game is usually going to be aligned with the price of the digital game. And as a result of that, because it's now costing more to release the physical version, you're going to end up having to pay more for the digital version. Now you're going to say, well, this is only on the Nintendo Switch. So why is it that it has to cost, $80 on another console? And there you have it. Because they're going to use this as a way of saying, well, it costs $80 over here on the Switch 2, so now it's also going to cost $80 on the PlayStation 5, and it's also going to cost $80 on the Xbox Series S and X. And it's also going to cost $80 on Steam. This is their insane logic right now. I know it sounds crazy, but they're trying to maintain consistency in pricing, and Nintendo is the devil in the situation because they're the ones who've basically forced the manufacturer, the makers of these games, to raise these prices. And of course, with greed running rampant, they're like, well, if the consumer is willing to pay $80, why not $90? We are so screwed, and Nintendo is so to blame for all of this. Okay, we were always heading in this direction, but it was likely not going to get this bad until Nintendo basically pulled the trigger, and now they're forcing developers to have to pay to have to raise their prices, and then on top of it, the developers are like, well, like Sega, like, oh, if we're going to be greedy, let's be greedy. It is such a totally fucked up situation.
Thank you for calling Steam. If you're calling about a refund for the game A Dream That Never Wakes Up, please press 1. For
Dude.
all other
Did you like my game? No, I'm actually calling about getting a refund for the game. It's not working on Steam, and I'm trying to...
What do you care most about in this world?
Excuse me?
Rather, who do you care most for in this world?
Sarah!
Let me go!
Sarah! Where are you? No, 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 stop!
Sarah's safe in the underground bunker.
I'm calling the police! I'm calling the police, you're fucked!
You'll be wasting precious time if you do. Both your wife and I are in an undisclosed location. It'd be impossible to trace either one of us.
Let go of my wife, you son of a bitch!
When you purchased my game, you signed a contract that
no,
states,
no,
upon payment you will stream and complete my game,
please.
and until that requirement is met,
Don't hurt my wife!
you've given me permission to hold on to something valuable to you.
I'll do anything! I have money, I'll send you money! I'll send you Bitcoin, Cash App, whatever you need, I'll get it to you, please! Just don't hurt my wife, let her go!
Stream my game.
Okay, I'll stream the game, just please don't hurt my wife!
That's good. That's a good little boy.
Okay, the stream is up.
Change the title.
What do you want me to make it? What do you want me to do?
Streaming the best game ever until I beat it. Now go live and say exactly as I say.
Okay.
But before you do, turn that frown upside down. Hello, YouTube.
Hello, YouTube.
Welcome back to another
Exciting stream.
Today I am streaming
The best game ever.
a dream that never wakes up.
Until I beat it.
The catch?
The game doesn't end.
What's a scam that's become so normalized that we don't even realize?
Wait, I got one. Online gaming. Like, explain to me why on PC, all the shit I want to play online will be free. I can play that shit as long as I want, however I want, when I pay for my internet. But on PlayStation, Xbox, and the Switch, I gotta pay for online. That is a scam. That right there is fucking bribery. And this shit was like, what, $100 for the new PlayStation shit? No. That is a fucking scam right there in itself.
This is my real problem with Mario Kart World retailing for $80 is that it's gonna be the justification for everyone else to raise their prices. I would not be surprised if the new norm for games moving forward is gonna be 80, maybe even 85. And specifically with GTA 6 coming out, I think GTA 6 right now is legitimately justified to charge like $120 for the game. And they're gonna sit there at Rockstar Studios, sit back and say, what you gonna do, not buy the game? I'm willing to pay a little bit more than retail if it comes out, a little bit more than retail. But what's that line? You know what I'm saying? That's the real question. The most I'd be willing to pay for GTA 6. It's gonna sound crazy. 200? Is that crazy? Am I the problem? I may be the problem. I may be the problem.
What are some of your reservations on why you have not pre-ordered / ordered a Switch 2 so far?
I have been pretty vocal about my... Dude. I can't stand you right now. I have been very vocal about my...
hatred of Nintendo and all things that are fun?
I'm trying to be soft about it, but like, I think that they are evil.
Okay, great start.
I think they are lazy. I think they know the headlock they have on the gaming community. Their whole business model is to pick up the entire Nintendo community upside down and just shake them until all the money falls out of their pocket.
I mean, that is not wrong, but I would argue that that's every company and every gaming company as well.
I just feel like Nintendo's more of a bully about it. I feel like they lure you in the back of a van with cake. That in the shape of a Kirby, and then they're like,
sounds actually good.
You're like, hey kid, you want to come join us? And then they beat you up. Microsoft and PlayStation are at least in a dark alley, and then they beat you up. I am being 100% genuine here. Some people are like, oh, you're just hating for hating. I haven't played with a Switch in years. This feels exactly the same to me.
You were wrong.
Like
I will tell you, you were wrong.
This feels like what I remember a Switch being like? I would say this is a lot closer to the OLED than it is the old LCD screen
Completely
on
agree
the
with that.
Switch 1.
1080p, 120 hertz, VRR. It is a very high quality LCD
Yes.
with good contrast. It gets relatively bright.
What I'm going to give my concern for
Yep.
is something I was watching on Reddit yesterday, kind of folding out, and I'm experiencing it myself. We've gone down 5% of battery life in the 11 minutes that we have been speeding right now. Someone was saying that they were playing a game, they were getting almost, it was 1% a minute of battery loss.
Yeah.
That is not great.
I've not done a full battery drain test. I do actually generally agree with you. I'll also say that when you're charging it, especially in the dock, it charges very slowly. It was on the dock for about 45 minutes. And I think it only charged like maybe 10%. I don't know if it was just because it was downloading and like, cranking or whatever, but I have some concerns about the battery. I also have some mild concerns about heat.
Again, I want to be fair on this.
Yeah.
So I'm used to this Chungus boy. I've gone on record many times. I almost never play without it being plugged in.
It does seem like it's a downgrade though from the Switch. It does feel like objectively not as good.
This is my concern with that I've always had with the Switch 2 is that it is, in a lot of ways, it feels like a downgrade to what we already had.
I would still say, again, very early days, this now feels like it's roughly equivalent to like Steam Deck, which is not a good thing, right?
Well, yeah,
but
so
they clearly were not pushing the envelope.
I want to give the biggest disclaimer that this is a brand new out of the box. Batteries get a little bit better when you charge them a couple times. Even since we started talking about that was 5 minutes ago in real time. We've lost another 4% of battery life.
Fortnite is running in the background, so that is actually taking some power. So the game situation is crazy. If you watch the video that I made last night or this morning or whatever the hell time it is, I spent a full half of that video trying to figure out what combination of what Switch games work with which consoles, when you have to pay, when you have to upgrade, when you get free upgrades. Bottom line, there are 3 tiers of games. Switch 1 games, which generally speaking, you put it into the Switch 2 and they work. Switch 2 Edition games, which are Switch 1 games which are still compatible with Switch 1, but are optimized for Switch 2, or just straight up Switch 2 games. That sounds like mildly complicated, but not too bad. However, when you start to get into the details, it gets incredibly complicated. You look at a game like Pokemon, so Scarlet and Violet, put the game into the Switch 2, it downloads an update, boom, you're playing at 4K 60 on your TV, just right out of the box. Lovely. Absolutely wonderful. The next phase are Nintendo games such as Zelda, so there'll be Tears of the Kingdom. They're $10 upgrades for the update pack. However, if you are a Nintendo Switch Online subscriber, like the higher tier, you get those updates for free. However, if you do not have online, you have to pay $10 to get those Zelda upgrade packs. And some games, such as, for example, Kirby, charge you $20, and that's just a thing you have to purchase.
That right there is they got you by the legs, and that $10, $20 is that extra shake.
They're trying to position it as DLC for some of these games, so it's not just the game looks better, there's like extra levels and like essentially DLC for it. There's also this sort of weird middle category, which are keycard games. For example, we got Hogwarts Legacy, and it was very confusing because if you put the Switch 1 version in, it works, but you're playing with, loading screens, all that kind of stuff. You can purchase the Switch 2 keycard version that only works on the Switch 2. It is incredibly difficult if you have the Switch 1 to understand if there is an upgrade for your game. I was legitimately unsure if Hogwarts has an upgrade. I think it does. I have not been successful in finding the way to upgrade it.
A lot more games got updates last night.
Correct, yes.
So this is an evolving...
Yep. One thing I really think Nintendo need to do, there needs to be an option. When you put a Switch 1 game in, pop up and say, hey, do you want to get the expansion pack? If you need to pay for it, that's fine. Let me know where it is, or let me hit the option and easily find it. They need to make that sort of whole process a little bit easier to understand.
It is 2 a.m., but I finally got my Switch 2. Let's boot it up. Here we go! I've been waiting so long. Let me see it. Let me see the menu.
And I believe it is just truly indefensible, no matter how hard people jump through mental gymnastics to, wave it away is not a big deal. And they're totally right for increasing the price of their games and all this and that. I don't know. I don't understand the desperation to suck the Nintendo wiener this hard and defend them like this, fight their PR battles for free. It is very valid criticism to make fun of them for their pricing, because it's just ludicrous. And keep in mind, Nintendo never drops the price of their games, ever. Games that are 10 years old are still being sold for full fucking price by Nintendo. So these games that are coming out that are going to be $80 occasionally for the Switch 2, they are going to remain $80 till the day you die.
People are finally starting to wake up and realize that Nintendo consoles and their games are and have always been a big fucking scam. Guys, everyone is sick and tired of this crap. Everyone is sick and tired of Nintendo taking advantage of them and the greater gaming market saying, you know what, let's just go ahead and do what Nintendo is doing because no one's going to stop us. It's clear that the industry is heading towards a major collapse as more and more studios are going downhill, especially because gamers are not only rejecting higher priced games, but they're also rejecting DEI narratives in their games. People are sick and tired of this shit. What do you guys think regarding all of this? The video game prices are skyrocketing. Nintendo is very much to blame, and it's only going to get worse before it gets better. But gamers are finally beginning to stand up and fight back. Even after the Switch 2 sales came out and we saw people lining up to pick up a Switch 2, there are many reports now of people who have been returning their Switches. I have so many different stories from people telling me about their coworkers or they themselves who picked up a Nintendo Switch 2, played it for a little bit, and then returned it. There was a message that I got from one guy who said that, you know, he went to the store with his friend. His friend bought the Nintendo Switch 2. He then went over to his friend's house, played it for like 3 hours, and then his friend took it back to the store and returned it. This is one story after another story after another story. All right. So many people who picked this thing up, they're like, yeah, this ain't it, Chief. And many people are agreeing that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was a lot more fun than Mario Kart World, which is just a barren wasteland where you drive and then drive some more with literally nothing to entertain you. Yeah, guys, Nintendo really screwed us all over, but hopefully it'll be the consumer who wins in the end, or either that or Nintendo will end up enslaving humanity and just scrounging every nickel and dime out of us. Like we're out on a stroll for a lady of the night, and her PIMP is like, listen, you better not even leave that mother effer with bus fare by the time you're done with him. Let me know your thoughts. We'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA and walking away. And cheers.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.
I've seen people put in a Switch 2 edition games compatible with Switch 1 in a Switch 1 and the cart works, even though it's a red cart, which it shouldn't work. So it is just unbelievably complicated.
So people are like, oh, I've already started my Switch 2 collection of physical media. And it's like, well, no, a bunch of those are just...
You still need to download it.
Like, it's not on that thing. So if the server goes down, you don't own that game anymore.
Correct.
What else do you want to sell me on this? Because I did play with this before filming, and I do have thoughts.
The graphics and the horsepower of this device are quite good. I think it's a little bit above what you're able to get on Steam Deck. I don't have a benchmark. I can't tell you. Like, I haven't done like Cyberpunk back-to-back or whatever the case is, but from what I have tried, the performance is quite nice. The DLSS actually makes a difference, especially when you're on like a TV. But it feels like it is relatively competitive with even high-end PC handhelds, which are way thicker, and let's be honest, much more expensive. Even though this thing's $450, I mean, you look at something like that, I mean, that on sale is $600. And considering that it has a little tiny battery and doesn't get super hot, Nintendo and Nvidia have actually done quite a lot of work to give this quite a good experience. Confusion about the games aside, very pleasantly surprised with the Switch 2 in that it is actually a pretty nice piece of hardware.
Here's my controversial take.
Okay.
It's fine. It's
whoa, hot take.
This might shock you when I say this. When I tested this out, I played Scarlet for the first time ever.
Okay.
Switch 2 version of Scarlet is what Switch 1 should have been from day one. If this is what they gave us for Switch 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I would have not been as hard on Nintendo for this entire time. Yes, it's very nice that we got it now, but again, my argument is that I feel like they're 5 years behind on these things.
What did you expect? Did you think this thing was going to absolutely obliterate PC handhelds? Like, I think it's pretty competitive.
No. So, like, again, if you're trying to convince me for the extra money, I could do so much more with this. With Steam Deck, the selection of games I have that I probably already own is, like, that's way better. I just feel like this isn't doing anything groundbreaking. And that's my issue.
Can I tell you one thing? If you were considering buying a Switch 2, the pre-order situation was a little bit crazy. The stock is really good. My wife literally went on Costco this morning. They were just in stock. She just bought one for herself.
I want to talk about any drama with the Switch launch, and there just kind of wasn't any. The only weird things I saw was like some GameStops stapled them, which damaged the screen. You know who did it the best?
Who?
Walmart. For some reason, Walmart just gave everyone Coke and a tube of Pringles. You have said nothing to me that will convince me to buy this.
Well, if we're being very, very honest with ourselves, this was a losing battle. You just started out the video with Nintendo is an evil company who hates fun, and I feel like that's a tough.
I did say that.
That's a tough mountain to climb.
But like, all right, I'm not gonna say it's bad. I don't think it's enough of an upgrade.
That's fine
for a 8-year-old console. I do have a ton of concerns about the mechanism for like the amount of flex in this. I think this is going to be a problem over time. The last bit that I don't find very consumer friendly is the welcome game.
It's $10,
that's $10 already. But also, apparently, you need, in order to complete the game, you need all the other accessories. So like there's a level where you need the camera. When I talk about like, hey, we're trying to get every nickel and every dime out of you, that's what I mean. Yeah. At least when Sony did this, Astro's Playroom was still I think one of their best games.
I mean, Wii Sports was, I think, a huge reason why the Wii was successful. Look, I'm not trying to be a defendo and say that the Switch 2 is perfect, but I will say is, if you are a fan of the Switch 2 is pretty much everything you could have hoped for out of an upgrade. I will say that it's certainly justifiable if you want to hang around and wait for a Switch OLED, but I think that this is a quite well-executed piece of hardware. There are very few major red flags. Battery life is one of the things I'm a little concerned about. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and ringling the dingling button. I still have a little bit of a voice, and I'll be certainly making a lot more videos. I think that the Switch 2 has been a pleasant breath of fresh air. And also, maybe it's just the nostalgia talking here, but I like a console launch day. There's some magic in the air. So why do you hate fun, Matt? That's my real question.
I'm going to sleep well tonight knowing I didn't spend $450 on this. That's all.
I'm going to sleep well because I'm just tired.
Like, follow, subscribe. Let us know if you picked up a Switch 2. Let us know if you got one or are going to get one. What game are you playing on it? Are you going to backwards Joy-Con?
Everyone backwards Joy-Con. Come join me on the backwards Joy-Con train, my friends.
Yo, okay.
It's better on this side anyway.
That's a different Reddit community.
I put it on the dock. Jesus Christ. Is that the Lord? Is that Gaben coming down telling us to shut the hell up about the Switch?
That's weird.